Oh, we are live. Hello, everyone. Apologies. I was just scrolling through one of my role models. Maybe not role models, just an absolute hero in the tennis world, Rafa Nadal, the ultimate fighter with one of the biggest fighting spirits I've ever seen. Good day, everyone. It's Saturday. I'm not even sure what the date is. I think it's the 3rd of February. And that means there's a big game here in the Betway SA20. Durban Super Giants right on top of the list playing the Joburg Super Kings. It's a must-win for the Super Kings as they are trying to fight for that 4th spot in the Betway SA20. But more importantly, there's a huge test match happening as we speak. England and India fighting it out in that 2nd test match. Jaiswal getting a fantastic double hundred early on this morning. What a talented prospect for cricket in India. I mean, just a fantastic player. It's great to watch him play. He reminds me of a lot of players, but I would say most probably Sourav Ganguly stands out, in my humble opinion, and in no disrespect, different generations. This guy is just on a different level. So I'm not comparing him to Dada, because I have a lot of respect for Dada, and he played in a different era. This guy just looks like he's come from a different planet. I mean, he makes the game look easy. He makes pace bowlers look like they're bowling medium pace. And fantastic against the spinners. He always puts them under pressure. What an incredible start to his career. And we're going to see a lot of this guy in the future. And I'm very happy to say that I'm a big fan. From the day that I saw him play, I think it was about 18 months ago, maybe a little bit more. I saw something really special. So what a fantastic player. What a great double hundred. And as we speak, England just got bowled out. India have a huge lead for a first innings in a test match, and I'm pretty sure they're going to try and take full advantage of that and get back into this test series, because as we all know, England ended up winning that first test match, and what a great test match it was. I didn't think it would get that close. Only 29 runs in it at the end. And I think that big wicket was Ravi Ashwin there towards the end when they needed about 40, 50. Ashwin got out running past a ball turning away from him. And ultimately, I think he would regret that, because they got closer than he thought, and then all of us thought. Anyway, he did pretty well to play his hand there. But all on the 2nd test now. Jaiswal double hundred. And then the man of the moment stepped up. What a bowler. It's Bumrah. I can't give this guy enough credit. He rocks up on a really good wicket in Vizag, and just runs through the England lineup. And I mean, the deliveries he bowled, the one to Stokes. Stokes looking at the wicket after the dismissal, saying, or like sort of trying to say that it kept low. I just think he did him with pace, and Stokes probably should have gone forward to that ball and not hanging. He was hanging back. All in all, just a fantastic bowler. He asked all the right questions. And then that ball to Ollie Pope, the informed player from England, the guy who almost got double hundred in that first test match, who won England the first test match. Bumrah just decided, you know what? Give me the ball to the best batter. I want to get him out. And in my humble opinion, whether I'm right or wrong, I think that ball started reversing at that very moment. And that is where reverse swing is at its most dangerous, in the moment it happens. As a bowling unit, you have about 2 or 3 overs. You have a little window of opportunity to run through batters. And if you don't take it, the batters realize, hold on, this ball is actually reversing. And you change your technique, you change your setup, you bat a little bit more on leg stump to make sure you don't get your pad in the way. And then Ollie Pope's delivery, Bumrah's delivery, stayed straight for a very long time and started ducking in right at the end. And you see Ollie Pope's head a little bit over as that ball snuck under his bat. And if your head is just a little bit outside of the line, you get done by this kind of deliveries. You have to be exactly in line with the delivery, expecting it to come back. That is the stock ball. That is the danger ball. Rather set up for that. And if it turns away, if he turns the ball around, it reverses to the slips. You always have time to follow it or to let it go. But I always feel with reverse swing, you don't want to get bowled or LBW. And Ollie Pope, unfortunately, obviously not picking up that the ball was reversing at that time. His eye line was just outside. And for an informed batter who almost scored a double hundred, still just too good. All credit to Bumrah. And maybe in an interview in the near future, I'll get him on here. and I'll ask him, was that reverse swing or conventional swing? The reason why I think it was reverse is because it swung late. Conventional swing goes much earlier out of the bowler's hand. Almost halfway through the wicket, you already can pick up that the ball was swinging in there. On this occasion, Bumrah jumped a little bit wide of the crease, and the ball was on fourth stump for a very long time. And almost 3/4 of the way of the wicket, only then it's really ducked in towards the stumps, which is generally a sign of reverse swing. Anyway, thanks for all your comments. Post your comments down below. I'm going to take that. That is not a question from Nitik. Bumrah is just becoming unplayable day by day. When he's on fire, very similar to the best bowlers in the world of the past. I think of Wasim Akram, Glenn McGrath, Dale Steyn, Vern Philander. When they're on song, there's not much you can do as a batter unless you are in the form of your life, and you can counter that in many ways and also play the mental battle. But yes, Bumrah, absolutely amazing. So guys, thank you very much for joining me on 360 Live on the 3rd of Feb. Let me just confirm it is the 3rd of Feb. Yes, it is. It was Graham Smith's birthday on the 1st of Feb. So 2 days later, the 3rd now. And thank you very much for joining me. Post your questions down below in the descriptions box. Also, subscribe to the channel and follow me in socials to stay up to date to this channel. I just got back from a cricket game. I haven't mentioned this, but both my boys played cricket today. The first one started at 7 a.m. South African time, so I'm a little bit tired. I also didn't put any sunscreen on, so I'm getting the hot flashes here, as if I haven't spent enough time in the sun during my life. I decided to go out there without any sunscreen on. Silly me. So to all of you out there, apply sunscreen, people. Don't do what I did today. My youngest boy played from 7 till 8:30 this morning. He had a couple of nice shots, and he bowled well as well. Both of them not interested in wicket keeping, which is interesting because that's all I wanted to do as a youngster. Both of them like to bowl and bat. And then my eldest son, little AB, started at 8:30. They scored 113 runs in 25 overs. Unfortunately, he only contributed 8 runs or 9, I think. Scored 2 beautiful boundaries, so I'm very proud of him. And then the bowling didn't go great the first over. Second over, he bowled much better. And the opposing team is pretty much on target. So I had to leave to come and talk to you guys. It shows you how much I love you, right? I don't like you more than my son, but I have a responsibility to interact with you people and talk about cricket, and that's what I love to do. So I'm here at your service, people. Let's move on then, talk a little bit more about this test. So England trailing by a big margin, and they're obviously under huge pressure. I will be taking some questions over the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then I'm also working at the Betway SA20 tonight in Johannesburg at the Wanderers. So wherever you are in the world, sign in, have a look at that game. It is a crunch game for the Super Kings, the yellow jerseys. They have to win, otherwise they're out of the tournament. It's a must-win for them. If we can pop up the questions then, let's fire away and let me answer some questions. 7 it is. Bumrah, the best of all format bowlers in the world right now. I think I said this about 3 years ago. In all the formats, he's the guy that asks the most questions, T20s, ODIs, and test matches. It's difficult to make statements like that because the way I see it, I would love for stats and for because people love boxing players into tiny little compartment, not tiny little compartment. I want it to be tiny little compartments, but people want to know who's the best in the world. That's it. End of the story. He's the best cricket player in the world. Done. And cricket doesn't work like that. There are different areas of the game. You've got to compare opening batters against opening batters, people. You cannot get to IPL and compare the number 5 batter of RCB to the opening batter of Chennai Super Kings. It doesn't work that way. They play completely different roles. It's almost a different sport. So orange cap, I have news for you. It is, I'm not going to find the right word for it. It's not fair. Let's just say it's not fair for a specialist number 4 batter to compete against the opener at the IPL. And they say the orange cap is the best batter of the tournament. Nonsense. It doesn't work like that. The number 4 and 5 batter does not compete against the opening pair. So if you want a cap, make a middle order cap as well then. You know what I'm saying? So is Bumrah the best bowler in the world, best bowler ever?
You can't say that. You can't compare him to a Ravi Ashwin. They play a different sport completely. So to all of you who are stats lovers out there, think about it before you compare players against each other. If you really want to compare players, go and pull up a death batters stats between overs 40 and 50 in ODIs and compare him to a guy who's had a similar amount of games in similar kind of situations, similar conditions, more or less, between 40 and 50. Then you can say, okay, we can compare those two. I don't know. I really dislike stats. I hate it when they compare players who play the majority of his games in Bangladesh versus a guy who plays the majority of his games in South Africa. It's a different sport completely altogether. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism for this. Please post your questions down below. I would love to talk about it. I want to know how you guys think. It's a very difficult game to compare people against other people or players against players. Anyway, I've ranted enough about it. All in all, I think Bumrah is right up there. If you really want an answer out of me, right up there with the best all-format bowler. Then you take a lot of things in consideration. I mean, ODIs, Tests, and T20s, different conditions, World Cups, big series, away from home, at home. It's just too complicated to compare. But anyway, I think there's a couple of spinners around the world who would like to put up their hands for this. And I think of a Ashwin and a Jadu and a few others, maybe a Rabada. Difficult to say, but personally for me, if I had to face him in all three of the formats, he would be right up there. So thanks for that question. Sorry for the long answer. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. You just cannot compare players. There's another example for you, players who bowl in the power players in T20 cricket. How do you compare them to players who bowl between overs 7 and 15 before the death overs? You can't. That's the answer. You simply cannot. All right, end of that. New ball, old ball, reverse swing ball, whatever. It goes on. Let's take a player like Gill is struggling for runs. What would be your advice for him? Yes, great question. I did go on for ages about how incredible of a player he is during the IPL. I absolutely love the look of him in all formats. He has been found out a little bit in Test match cricket, though. So there is a technical thing he's going to have to work on, and that is pushing at deliveries outside off stump. Perfectly normal in Test match cricket. I've been through it many times in my life before. In Test cricket, bowlers are incredibly clever. They leave the ball on fifth or sixth stump. I had the same issue facing Stuart Broad, just angling the ball in, letting it leave the bat. But if you are there on fifth or sixth stump and the bowler knows he's got protection, he's got slips in place, it's not T20 cricket. Now you need to know where that off stump is. You have to practice it. There's a drill that I used to do where the guy used to do throwdowns to me, and any ball that was on the stumps and I played, off the stumps that I played, I would have to do 10 push-ups. So it was obviously a really good thrower who was on off stump and just outside the whole time. And the minute I made contact with the ball that was going to miss the stumps, he would have me do 10 push-ups. So I had to leave everything that was off the stumps and learn where that off stump is. So for Gill, I feel he's got a bit of an issue. Doesn't really cover the stumps, which is perfectly fine in India because that's what you need to do. The ball keeps low. You want to protect your stumps. You don't want to step across with your front pad. But the problem is there are some bowlers that are incredibly skilled. They can get a bit of movement off the deck. So they are bowling to fifth stump to Gill, and they are making him push at it. And that's where he's going to have to work. He's going to have to be more decisive on that off stump. Am I going to leave it? And if I do play, I have to wait for the ball and not push at it. So his bat is more or less there. Let me show you guys. His bat, when he's defending, his angle is there instead of there. If you do that outside off stump, you should be fine. You're still going to have to learn to leave some deliveries alone, but you have to get that bat angle there and not pushing at it like that. And that's what Gill is doing. And very clever from Anderson. He's a master at that. He knows weakness. He's picked it up. He sensed it. And immediately that's where he targeted Gill. First, he angled it into him to show him, listen, I can still get you out LBW and bowled. But in the back of his mind, he knew, I'm going to get one just a nibble away outside off stump. And I know Gill's going to push at it because he doesn't know where his off stump is. So if I was Shubman Gill, that's all I would go and work on in the off season or whenever you get some time. Get my bat angle right, because you get away with it, even though you push it sometimes. You get away with it when you're playing it under your eyes with that bat angle. The edges tend to drop short of the slips, and I think of a Kane Williamson when I talk about that. So that's what he's going to have to work on. First prize, know where your off stump is. So those deliveries on a good length, you leave alone. Second prize, if you can't do that and you have to feel bat on ball, which I also had a problem with, then get that bat angle right. You cannot have the bat pushed like that and too flat. You're going to nick off for sweets, especially when you go to England, South Africa, some places where the ball even moves around more. So good question there. Thank you very much. And it's not criticism, because I love watching Gil play. I want him to succeed. I want him to become a great, because he's got all the potential in the world to do so. I can relate, because I went through the same process. I had the same problems. So it's fixable. All right, thanks for that. Long answers today by the looks of it. Without a solid defensive technique, building innings is not possible in tests. Is India missing Pujara and Rahane, who bat patiently in any situation? Your thoughts, AB? Absolutely. Cheteshwar Pujara was always a pain in the flesh to us South Africans. He would fight for every run. You would value his wicket. And you need one or two players like that in a batting lineup, in Test cricket especially. Even in T20 cricket, there's room for that still. Someone who holds the innings together, who's the gel of the innings, who is not an ego player. I have a lot of respect for Pujara, Rahane. I think Puj is even more of a fighter, who's more of a grinder. Reminds me a bit of a Graham Smith. Technically awkward, but he would always fight, and you had to work for his wicket. It's invaluable in Test match cricket, as much as we're all talking about baseball and taking the game on, and we won 3-day Test matches. Those are the guys that set it up for other players to go and win your Test match. Those are the kind of guys that are there when a Rishabh Pant has got the freedom to go and score a big 100, like in Australia. Puj has done it many, many times. He's done it in all conditions, in South Africa, in the subcontinent, wherever. Anyway, so yes, you're absolutely right. I do, however, think that a Shubman Gill and a few of the other players, Shreyas, that I've watched, have got enough talent to sort that out and to become players like that when they need to be that kind of player. And that's also what we touched on with baseball. There are times where you cannot play baseball, where you have to do the right things. When a Jimmy Anderson is just too good outside that off stump, you cannot play baseball, people. You have to suck it in for 30 minutes, wait to understand the conditions, understand the trend, what he's trying to do, how is he trying to get me out, and then you counter-attack. That's Test cricket. Anyway, moving on there. Pixie Rose, 1982. I'll take you were born in 1982, 2 years older than me. You're already into the 40s. My time is limited. I'm turning 40 very soon. I love it. I don't care about age. Why do we even have an age? You can see my beard is going grey. That's the only way I know that I'm getting older, but I'm more active than ever, I think. Seeing as it was his birthday, what was your most memorable moment with Graham Smith? Yes. Let me just check. He's 43 now, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was always 3 years older than me. I have so many amazing memories. I mean, the guy backed me from the very first day we met. I think the very first time we met was in Benoni. It's a small town outside, 30 minutes drive from Pretoria, where I live. I played for the Titans. I think I was 19 years old then. Graham was the Protea captain at the time. It was 2003, so I was 19. I can confirm that. I scored 150 in that game. It was Northern Transvaal against Western Province. And I scored 150, and all the Protea players were playing. Graham Smith and Paul Adams, the spinner, Herschel Gibbs, Dale Steyn, you name it. Charles Willoughby was a left-arm pacer. They had a wonderful team, and I got 150 and a 300 partnership with someone who was brought up in the same town as me, Martin van Jaarsveld. He played a few Test matches for South Africa as well, and ODIs. Anyway, back to Smithy. I think from that day on, when I met him, he just backed me right throughout my Proteas career, through my dips, through my highs. He was always there as a soundboard for me, someone I could go to, who was very approachable, but also at the same time very hard on me. He would never let me get away with being soft or taking the shortcut. And those are the amazing life lessons I learned from him, and why to this day he's the best captain I've ever played under. So there's one thing that stands out. I always enjoyed pranks, and it's written in my autobiography. I did give him a scare once. We were in Kanpur in India, playing test matches there, or playing a test match there. And that's also the test match where a spinner bowled. We won the toss and batted first, and India bowled a spin in the 9th over of the test match on the day one. So it was something completely new and something I wasn't familiar with. But that evening, I realized that I have a window, and the window right next to me, we're on the third floor, by the way, so it's very high, but it was super close, and Graham's window was there to his room. And I also realized that my room key, and all room keys in the hotel, would work on other doors. Weird, eh? So I opened up one evening when I knew Graham had a captain's meeting with the coaches. I opened up his room, went in, and I sort of changed everything around. I let the paintings, and I turned the TVs on like a channel. You know the channel where it's like snowy and rainy, and it just makes a noise. So I turned it full volume. I walked outside, and I also opened his windows just to be able to have a look at what's going on in there. So later that night, I didn't hear anything from him. There's no movement next door. And then I decided to climb through my window into his lounge area, because he was the captain. He had a big room. So I climbed into his room, his lounge area. I turned the TV on as loud as I could as well, because I knew it would take a bit of time for him to leave his bed, open up the lounge area and come in there. As soon as I did that, I climbed through the window again into my room, closed the windows. So I let it go. The next day at breakfast, Graham arrived there, and you could see this guy's not in a happy place. And he started talking at the breakfast table about ghosts being in his room. He was so scared. And I let it go until that evening, and I said, Graham, I can't let you hang anymore. And I just told him the truth. But he was very scared, because he sort of believed in ghosts at the time. And I made him believe in ghosts even more. So that's a fond memory of Graham. I was a bit of a prankster at the time. I love pranking guys. I pranked the whole team basically with stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, Graham, what a man, what a leader, and fantastic what he's achieved with the Betway SA20. And I want to ask all of you to support the tournament. If you have time tonight, sign in, log in, start streaming Geo Cinema over there in India. Have a look at the game and support it. The game will start in 4 hours from now. So you have a bit of time. I know it's late night in India then, but go watch that game. It's Joburg Super Kings against the Durban's Super Giants. Some fantastic players taking part. Heinrich Klaassen is in the form of his life, and we'll see if he gets some runs tonight again. Last but not least, because my mouth is getting dry. Sir, which team will win the SA20 2024? The best team, in my opinion, by country mile, Durban's Super Giants. I posted about it. I said this team should sign up for the World Cup. And there's the log, guys. So they're right on top of the list on 32 points. They've had a fantastic tournament. The 2 games they lost, even they look like they can win any game at any time. Sunrisers Eastern Cape, the defending champions, in a close second place. So they're making a run at it again. Paul Royals in third. They lost last night. Couldn't chase over 200 score at Boland Park in Paul, which was way over par. I think they did pretty well to stay on track for most of that game. And and then the 3 fighting for that 4th spot. My Cape Town, Joburg Super Kings playing today, and Pretoria Capitals. Interestingly, my Cape Town in 4th spot and Pretoria Capitals in 6th spot. They are playing tomorrow, or is it later today? Anyway, they are playing against each other. So the Joburg Super Kings have to win today to stand a chance. If they lose, they're out, because one of either the 4th or the 6th spot will gain some points in that next game. All right, so it's a big game for all those teams coming up, and they are fighting to make the playoffs. And very nice format, and I've spoken about this before. The 4 will make the playoffs, same as the IPL. 1 plays 2, 3 plays 4. The winner of 1 and 2 goes straight to the final. The loser play the winner of 3 and 4. And then the winner ultimately goes through to play number 1 at the top. And there we have it. That is the most fantastic format. The only thing that I will add to that, and I want to know what you think. I know logistically it will not be easy, but I think all finals should be a best out of 3, not just one. Please, if you're listening and you have a bit of pull in the cricketing world, go and tell them. Don't make it a once-off final. You can't have a tournament in the IPL for 2.5 or 3 months and then just one game and it's done. I think it's ridiculous. Look at the NBA, and now they do it over there. They have 7 games. 7, the best out of 7. You got to win 4 times against the other team who was just as good as you in the tournament. That's fair, people. And you have away and home games. So the home team would have finished top of the log. They get 4 games at home if it goes all the way, and the other team 3. There's a fair system to me. I know logistically you have to move around a bit, but get the final, the 2 best teams of the tournament to play more than 1 game. I'm begging you. Have 2 at Ahmedabad, like last year when Gujarat Titans finished top of the log, I think, or was it Chennai Super Kings? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. If Gujarat Titans finish top of the log, they get 2 home finals. If Chennai Super Kings finish second, the other final or the second game will be in Chennai. And they've got to fly back to Ahmedabad again to play the final if it's a 1-1. Imagine that. There you have it, people. Thank you very much for joining me on the 360 Live. To the 360 family, thank you very much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And Dalvier, you can get a signed bat. Just take part in the 360 quiz. It's not so tough. The questions are a little bit tricky sometimes, but that's the way to win a signed 360 bat. One of these boys. Just a mini version of this, all right? And hopefully, as I've mentioned before, we'll see some of these bats in the stores in the near future. Hint, hint. I'm working on something. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a fantastic Saturday. Go and subscribe to the channel. Follow me in socials. And I'll see you guys on the 360 show in the week. Lots of love. Take care.